So I was incredibly skeptical about this game when I first saw the trailer, mainly because I thought it was supposed to be a PS5 exclusive, trying to show off the graphical capabilities of the device and probably try to sell me on a story that I'm not too keen on. For some reason, a lot of games nowadays tend to forget that they're mainly supposed to be games, not movies to watch. Also, it's called Returnal, which is just a terrible name, but I've never been more wrong. Yesterday, more gameplay footage was released, and let me tell you, it looks fucking amazing. I'm gonna first talk about my blind impressions from just looking at the 17-minute gameplay footage released by IGN, then move on to talk about some features mentioned by reviewers who got an early copy. Let's explain what this game is supposed to be. Returnal is a third-person shooter roguelike. That means every time you die, you start from the very beginning. But unlike roguelikes, some upgrades remain permanently. This explains the name Returnal, which somehow makes it worse of a name. Seriously, you guys couldn't workshop a better name? The opening cinematic is pretty standard and self-explanatory. You crash land into an alien planet and leave your ship to explore the area. The game doesn't seem to waste any time in the cinematics. The main character gives you all the exposition you need as you're exploring, which is exactly the kind of pacing a game like this needs. From the get-go, the atmosphere is incredible. The audio design is top-notch. You hear the sounds of rain trickling down on the surface of this giant biodome, while this ominous continuous track just looms in the background. Character movement looks smooth, and the item design reminds me of God of War, where a beacon of light sort of captures your attention. Platforming seems to have a lot of potential. The jumps combined with the dashes should easily make the level design more diverse and unique. This is excluding the potential of getting upgrades that would make your jumps stronger or different. The fights look pretty standard in the beginning. You use a basic pistol to shoot your way through enemies that provide little to no challenge, which is normal to any start of a roguelite game. Enemies can either hit you physically or launch what I can only describe as bullet hell projectiles. I hope it doesn't go too crazy. As you progress, you find audio logs of the main character that imply that this isn't your first rodeo, you've died before and now you're back, which is a great narrative device to add tension to your exploration. Also, it does create some level of intrigue as why we're stuck in this cycle of death. Pretty soon you run into a Lovecraftian horror that proceeds to kick your ass faster than you can say. When you die, the intro plays. It's really cool. I'm loving it so far. The cutscenes switch into this first-person perspective sometimes. I'm going to guess this is to make the more horror elements of the game stick out. Oh yeah, did I mention this game might be scary? After all, the game is set in a sci-fi horror setting, and if you've watched at least 2 minutes of any of the Alien movies, you would be able to point out that this game borrows heavily from them. Now that I'm complaining, this just makes the game seem more awesome to me.
How many different ways do you want me to tell the same story?
You realize in the game that the world and landscape is different every time you die, which implies that these maps are procedurally generated. You also find out that there are some areas you cannot access until you have specific tools and end up finding teleport points, which can only mean that this game is also a Metroidvania. Okay, listen, just from this footage alone, I'm sold. I'm buying into the hype. I want this game. But we also have to talk about the things that this specific piece of gameplay does not show us. According to reviewers, the DualSense is used to its full advantage. When it comes to building atmosphere, every sound is sensed in a unique way through the controller. For instance, the raindrops have their own vibrations that you would feel as you're exploring the biodome. Gameplay-wise is where it shines though. When you're shooting a gun, the adaptive triggers would stop midway to keep your gun in primary fire mode. And if you press it further, the gun would release a different type of shot, which is your secondary fire. This means that every weapon will have 2 types of shots, making every weapon valuable in some way. There is also an online system called the Avenge system, where you can find the corpse of another player on the field. When you come across these corpses, you can choose whether to avenge them or scavenge them. Of course, avenging them would trigger a fight in which you would get some type of reward. The biggest problem I had was that I thought this game was set in this one biodome location, but after seeing some more footage, there are multiple levels in this game, and the second level stands out the most. It's this beautiful desert location that's vibrantly red and filled with a lot of intrigue. Whenever I'm getting this game, I'm gonna try my damn best to rush to this area. The bosses in this remind me of Bloodborne bosses. They're all horrifying creatures that come at you like they're hopped up on sugar, and the only way to dodge them is to dash away, taking advantage of the momentary iframes you get. All in all, after everything I've seen and heard about this game, I can't help but be excited. It really reminds me of Ratchet & Clank in a sense that this game is prioritizing gameplay rather than try to obnoxiously pretend like it can be like The Last of Us in terms of storytelling. Unfortunately, it is a PS5 exclusive, so some of you watching might be super annoyed right now, but trust me, I'm getting scammed out of my mind since my PlayStation 5 has been collecting dust for months, and this game will probably be $70. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.